Tuesday episode of Blunders and Bothwellians, the Winter Witch edition. It has started recording, hasn't it? Yes, excellent, marvellous, good thing to know, good. Once again, we're on the old laptop, so not a lot of sound effects and just the one picture, because this old laptop is very, very sad. But nonetheless, enthusiasm! Woohoo! So today we have an Arissa, a Varric, and a Vetheritas. We have a Hannibal who may chime in occasionally when she types, but Hannibal is sick, so Hannibal is not speaking. Hannibal is going to be typing her thoughts as we go along. You're on episode 61. Dun, 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 dun. Still not dead, always good. And to recap last time, it started on the very, very extravagantly named Church Street, where the church was, in the churchyard. You guys had found a demon summoning ritual circle, and by activating it, you summoned a giant blackened demonic goose. Ragnar and Taco went to protect the perimeter. Vetheritas is quoted as saying, "Not another damned farm animal." Varric used his trident to hit the goose. Arissa and her teddy bear attempted to soothe the goose, which worked. And she used her motherly glare on Varric to great effect. You guys eventually managed to slightly calm the goose down. Varric distracted it with pie. Arissa tells Varric to call off the cat because Varric had summoned a cat to attack it. And Vetheritas stepped in to protect Arissa. It all went a bit mad, but it was all okay. And Arissa is quoted as saying, "How do I make friends with a laughing goose?" Oh yeah, because Varric used Tasha's hideous laughter on it, didn't you?
Yep.
That was some comedic voice acting on my part. Then you discovered, hiding under the bushes, a glob of orange hair. Varric flew over the top and pulled out a small gnome girl called Lily, who said that the giant goose is her goose called Chonk, and he hadn't always used to be that big, but he's her goose called Chonk. Varric and Arissa have a prestidigitation war, and Arissa and Lily go to scritch Chonk. Hannibal wants to eat Lily, Varric wants to eat Chonk. Everyone has a think. And Hannah shows Vetheritas that she can make gold coins. Vetheritas then decided to bite one and noted that they did in fact seem real. Huzzah! Hannibal is the walking bank of the party. Varric caught loads of coins. Vetheritas says that they should pay for an army, and Varric pulls out the cards of chance. Lily takes one and sprouts bright pink fairy wings, which is very exciting for her, so you now have a tiny little gnome with bright pink fairy wings. Vetheritas bamfs into the astral plane, swears, and then comes back. That's just a whole line. There's a whole line of my notes there. Hannah, and this bit's in quotation marks, reassures Vetheritas that his god doesn't give gold. And Varric teaches Lily to fly, and decides that they need an air force for their army. Arissa throws a rock at Varric and at Hannibal. No context for that, but I'm sure they deserved it. Vetheritas takes a diamond and donates it to the local church. Hannibal manages to shrink Chonk. Why was it? Can you remember? What did you do, Varric? What did you do?
The rocks were because we were summoning money in the castle and breaking the verti.
That was true. They're now just inserting pictures and gifs and memes of Hannibal making it rain. You guys went back and went. Varric went to check on dinner and sorts out a carving station, but also made sure they didn't have any goose, which is very sweet of you. Arissa knits a green waistcoat for Chonk, so Chonk now has a green waistcoat. Dinner happens. Vetheritas gets paper and pens and makes a map of his homeland, Trevis. Also reminding Varric to chew. There's an almighty bang. Everyone goes to investigate. Varric takes a plate and eats it on the way, and Arissa takes a smaller to-go plate and follows. There is a giant human-sized diamond half embedded in the floor. Vetheritas tries to work out how to get it out of the floor, but it is stuck. Lily and Vetheritas have a chat about Lowry, who Lily knows from her hometown, and mentions that Lowry was looking for a god-killing sword. Brekens appears naked, because there's always a note about that in my notes. Brekens appears naked. Varric throws the donut boomerang. Brekens attacks. Brekens says that they had a message, by the way, that an order is being shipped, but it's been delayed, but it should be here this week. Hannibal intervenes between the two of them. Varric and Brekens fight. Demon boys eventually go back to bed when Brekens is escorted back to bed by his partner. Vitheritas impersonates Hannibal, who is disturbed because Vitheritas can now mimic voices. Varric has his visitor. He takes him to the bedroom, to enchant the unbreakable bed and silence charm on the demon's quarters. Vitheritas sings to Helm in Hannibal's voice. Brekens and Tiavat get comfy in their new room. Lily stays the night in a fixed bed, and the next morning she has gone, leaving a note that says she enjoyed your company very, very much. Orissa woke up the next morning. She sang, had lovely birds helping her get dressed, did the usual sort of princessy thing that Orissa does in the morning, got washed, etc., and then had that sort of Shrek 2 moment of Fiona looking in the mirror and screaming when she realised that she was no longer pregnant. She had her usual body back again, and goes into the next room to find that there is a 2-year-old baby in the crib, looking as if nothing is wrong other than he might be a little hungry. Hannibal works out that something strange and timey-wimey has happened, probably because you guys have been tripping your way through the multiverse and the passages of time itself. Everybody else heard the screaming and came up to see what on earth is going on. The Theritas brings a platter for Varric and goes to see what is going on. That is what you left off on. So that was quite sweet. The last thing that happened was that the Theritas brought a plate of food for Varric. The Theritas hears screaming, thinks, Varric might be involved. He'll also want food. I'll bring a plate.
It's really sweet how well he knows.
And that's the difference between the Tuesday group and the Sunday group.
Yup.
The Sunday group nearly split in about 5 different directions over the weekend because they were in the middle of the ocean. It was like, what do you want to do? Well, I'm going to go that way. I'm going to go this way. Well, fuck you very much. I'm going to go this way. And I was like, guys.
There also was a point last Sunday where like several players took actions because we didn't want to help Kesh.
Yes. So a very close-knit group, the Sunday group. But it's fine. It's fine. You all
really
worked out.
The fact that I really like the meme that like Verti just sent as well with that baby and such.
Timey-wimey stuff. Timey-wimey stuff. Varric, I also missed your comment. Can I buy one of those silence enchantments for Brekens' face? No. No, you may not.
Aww.
In fact, you can waste your money and try, but no, you cannot.
Ooh, there's actually a good solution to solve it. And
Is it
even
gaffer
need an
tape?
enchantment. Something like that. I was thinking of more thematically fitting, as in get to a seamstress and just sew it shut.
You'd have to catch him first. But by all means,
that's easy. Just take Tiavat.
He would never forgive you. And don't forget, Tiamat is related to Orissa. So
That's true, but
the only thing holding Varric back is the fact that one of them is vaguely related to his sort of mummy bear. Oh dear.
Well, the issue there is that Brecken still owes me one.
That's true. And you
I
can
have
remind
one up
him
on the
of this.
demon boy.
You do. So it is now the following morning, essentially. It's probably Orissa. What sort of time would you wake up usually in your morning routine? Anytime, Orissa.
Maybe an hour or so after sunrise.
Alright, so at this point it's probably an hour and a half after sunrise. There we go. Thank you, Orissa. There's been screaming and kerfuffling. Orissa and Varric are now stood in front of a baby's crib. Because Hannibal can't speak at the moment, Hannibal has poofed off and has said, "I'm going to work out what on earth's going on," and poof has disappeared in her Hannibal way. If at some point you'd like her to come back, or if you want, she can just sort of pop back up and say things every so often and then poof and disappear. It's entirely up to you. So post them in chat and I'll read out anything you want Hannibal to do. I love that you're immediately on board, like, I will! I was like, okay, cool. Hello, dog. My dog's come to say hello. My dog agrees with you. So you two are currently standing there looking at this child, going, There's also still a massive human-sized diamond somewhere in your corridor, but that's fine for now. The servants have just been sort of hopping over it. It's been fine. Some of the servants' children have been like trying to skateboard over it. It's been great. It's been a great time for everybody. But Theritas, you head in the direction of this noise and kerfuffling and find yourself outside the extra room that's off the side of Orissa and Barracks. And inside you see the scene. Orissa very clearly, well, I don't know. How much of an intelligence check are you going to need to do before you notice that Orissa is no longer with baby and there is child? I don't think he's that thing.
I think it might depend on what Orissa's wearing.
Orissa, my lovely, what are you wearing? Are you going to be dressed? Or are you going to be in your nightgown? Disney princess outfit, etc.
I think she was actually like halfway getting dressed when she realised. So she's probably like in some flowy harem type pants. And then like a really nice blouse.
So Varric is not only distracted by the baby, you mean?
Yes.
At which point, the therapist has probably actually noticed that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him that one. I won't make you roll for that. So Vitheritas, in a clever moment of being a clever boy, you put two and two together and go, not pregnant? Child. Plus the way that they're looking at this child. I think Orissa picked him up at one point and are now looking at and talking to this child who looks a lot like them. Is a boy, can confirm. Fan theories have been going crazy over the last few months for this, can confirm it is in fact a boy. Sort of tousled, fluffy hair, looks very much like, got sort of like Varric's chin, but Orissa's sort of eyes and little sort of half-elven ears. No, stop trying to put it in boys' wake. Stop it.
I'll just bark at it till it's a boy's wake.
I'll bark at it until it's a boy. Welcome to Bothwell, kids. Woof, woof, woof. I don't understand what that means. Woof, woof. So yeah, the Theritas, you enter the scene, and there you go.
And action.
So he'll put two and two together and then probably not think too hard about the fact that time and everything. I think he's given up on like normality around Annabelle. So
there's no sense of normalcy here.
Yeah.
And he's probably not too familiar about the specifics about kids anyway, so he's probably going to turn to Orissa and go, "Congratulations."
Orissa will just kind of stare at him, look back at her son and go, "He's 2. This didn't happen last night. I'm pretty sure I would have made a lot more noise." She kind of looks up at them. She kind of realises that she hadn't had to go through childbirth, and she's like, "Ooh,
Ooh, perks."
The therapist is going to take a long time to process that, and then turn around and go, "Congratulations."
Yeah.
And she kind of looks at him and decides she's not going to try to explain because she doesn't know what the fuck is going on, and just goes, "Thanks."
Barrett's just gonna look on, surprised, confused, and well, like
She kind of looks at her son and goes, "That's Verti." And just points at the Theritas. "Do you know Verti?"
Daddy!
No, that's not Daddy. She points over at Varric and goes, "That's Daddy."
Hey!
Varric's gonna give a little wave.
He sort of like waves a pudgy hand back.
No.
Vitharitus is just going to look at this, look over at Varric and go, "I've brought you breakfast if you want some."
Thank you. And Varric's just gonna take the plate and just gonna like take a big bite and then look at the kid, look at Arista, and then he's gonna like take a little bite, return the food to the plate, and just first offer them food. Like, and then he's gonna look at Arista and he's gonna maybe I have no experience with these ones. What do they eat?
He kind of looks down, tries very hard to remember what it was like with her brother.
You can roll for general knowledge of that if you want, Arissa, with your bardic talents. You can have advantage. Just roll for
Do I get an advantage then,
Yeah.
or is it just a straight D20 as well?
do intelligence, but with an advantage. I'll give you
Intelligence with advantage. Okay.
yes, because bard and not complete idiot.
And one mode instinct
Sorry.
or something.
Because bard and not Vitharitas.
19.
Hey, okay.
To be honest, I think the idiot is smarter than Vitharitus.
He's very clever. He just takes a little while. He's like Joey in Friends. He's very clever. He just takes a little while to get there. It's fine. Arissa, cool. With you 19, you think, and you remember, and then you sort of do some subtraction. You think, hang on, no, that's babies. And you look at him again. You think he's 2. So, and the DM's going to start pulling out of her ass because I'm not 100% sure what 2-year-olds even eat.
I actually have a nearly 2-year-old nephew, so he's on solids. I
was
can
gonna say-
confirm that he would.
I was going to say, so solid people food?
Yes, he did good.
Hey! DM rolled. Woohoo! So yeah, in your infinite wisdom, you think, so solid food might be okay. Like maybe pieces of apple, but you wouldn't give him a whole apple. That kind of thing. Like nothing he can choke on, things like that. But doesn't need to be on smushy mashed potato anymore. And then you probably remember at some point Varric probably had some sort of mashed potato fight, and you imagine to yourself never giving them mashed potato. I'm just going to make that assumption because.
Of course he had.
Oh yes, Vitharitas, thank you for reminding me. Please could you roll a d20? Actually no, Vitharitas, roll me a d100.
Bum bum bum.
Just while this is going on. It's nothing to do with this, don't worry, he just reminded me.
D100. So I need 2 of these.
Yes.
Just make sure they're both the same, because I fucked that up before.
Ah. Oh yeah, Arissa, good boy, has come in and is sniffing. Sniffing child. And looking up at you in a very confused way. But also sort of, the child smells familiar. So he's sort of like, and is like licking the kid's feet as you like hold him. He's like, and the kid's like, I can't do children. And the dog.
Give him like an evil giggle.
I shall. And so the big bad evil guy was born.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, Arissa, you're fairly confident with what you could feed this child, and a lot of the stuff that's on the breakfast plate that Theratas has brought would probably be quite suitable as long as you made sure there was no stalks off the fruit, no bones in it, that kind of thing. Ominous typing is ominous.
Grandmother.
Oh yeah, Hannibal, some sort of grandmother.
Basically, ish.
I guess she's technically the fairy godmother.
That is very true.
Yes. Okay, so
Hannah agreed. It's a great
Then
team.
Hannah would like being called the fairy godmother. But I like to think that's how she explained Hannah to her son.
Betheritas. Betheritas, you got a 19 out of 100.
Yep.
Alright, that's happening.
well done.
Alright, that just changed my plan for the day, but that's fine. That's not a problem at all. That's fine. Meanwhile, sorry, that won't come into effect for a little bit. So yeah, meanwhile, Arissa is explaining Hannibal to this child. In terms of fairy stories you tell to your child at night, I expect. Like, and there was this fairy godmother, well, less of a fairy, and she was really good, and, well, was she good? Debatable.
She's really decent-ish, maybe. A bit. I feel like the kid would have, like, lots of great bedtime stories.
Oh man, the kid's gonna get told the pig story.
Oh shit!
The elusive pig story.
The kid would bully this guard going, I heard the pig story.
You're gonna make him cry. Damn it. Yes, Hannibal, I was thinking that the child will probably be able to speak a few languages. I'm going to roll for them, though, because of random influence. Although I expect, Varric, will you teach your child Elvish?
Yes.
All right. And
Varric will try to teach the kid all kinds of stuff.
oh god.
He'd also make a miniature bow for the kid so that the kid can like practice shooting arrows already.
Your child is going to be Robin Hood. It's going to be marvelous. So yeah, you two, you have a big story. You have a class. Okay, I was about to ask. So you two in this pivotal moment of looking at your child? Unfortunately, he's not 10, so he can't tell you his name. Do you have a name for your child? This includes surnames/surnames, and what class have you chosen for your child?
Okay, so considering Arissa and Varric have not been able to figure this out yet, but Timo and I have been talking.
I love that you two have been discussing. This is brilliant. Okay.
His name, I will write it down for you.
Okay.
And I'll just double check with Timo.
I'll tell you what, Hannibal, while you're here, roll me 2 d6s and tell me what the 2 numbers are, and that'll pick his languages. You know, you're here. You may as well be involved. Meanwhile, Theratas can stand there and scratch his chin. Cool. 3 and 6. Cool. Thank you. Alright.
Okay, so we have his name.
Okay.
His name is Alaric Talcat.
Okay.
Yep.
Alaric. Oh, I nearly spelt that right. Talcat. Okay. And the class?
Well, that's where the fun begins.
Oh, dear.
We have a homebrew class that he is.
Okay, sure.
Shall I send it to you?
Sure.
Rose before we announce it, yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we
Game approval needed.
I don't
Yeah.
care, I'm down.
the name of the class and then
Oh my god! I was just thinking that. I was like, if they come up with something, I'm going to include this.
Do you now understand why I laughed at that timey-wimey stuff meme Verti?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So this sounds like approval. Shall we share it with the rest?
Yes. Tell everybody. Is this something you
I
two
think
have made, or did
he
you
is
find
getting
this?
a bit.
Did you
Getting
find
a bit
this?
antsy.
Yes, I've found it on the internet.
Okay, as opposed, I was gonna say if you two made this, that's insane. But like, okay, cool. This is equally awesome. I'm gonna read this. This is like my bedtime reading tonight. Okay, yes. Please announce the class of your child. Wait, let me just check the recording is still on. Yes, good. Okay.
So considering the timey-wimey stuff that's been happening already, obviously this kid is going to be a Time Lord.
Hey.
As in, that's its class.
Hannibal in the chat, lol. Just drop an F in chat. He probably can, Hannibal. In fact, maybe that's where Hannibal's gone. Oh my god, that's where Hannibal's gone! Hannibal realised that the kid has been messed about through time, so Hannibal's just bamfed to the future to go and check on the kid. Canon.
Well, with this kid, that could be any which future, right?
I know, right? It's like any when. Damn, canon was achieved. It's okay. My DM status has been revealed. Woohoo! I can do this. I can invent stuff.
I might make an actual character sheet for Alaric, and then just every now and then, in another one of your games, I'll just pop in as an NPC.
Do it. I definitely think that he. I did have a vague idea that he would meet Sunday Arissa at some point. Just like as like a 20-year-old or something. No, that's a dangerous age. Maybe as a 15-year-old. Someone unflirtable.
Ooh, getting a bit ahead of his there.
So, but yeah, that may well happen. So yes, hang on to that train of thought, because that could be all kinds of interesting for Sunday Party Arissa. Anyway. But yes, so yes, you now have a Time Lord baby. Good luck with that. I feel like it's like that bit in The Incredibles where they have the baby and they're not sure what he does, and then suddenly he starts lasering fire. Spoilers for those of you who haven't seen. Is it The Incredibles with the lasering baby?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's either The Incredibles or The Incredibles 2.
It's one of those. Something with the superhero family in it. But yes, marvelous. So yes, are you going to announce this name to everyone in your group? Have a think about it. Yes, that gif, yes.
I just quickly had to find it.
I love how it's lightning fire laser baby. Not just one,
Also,
all things.
About announcing the name. Is this something that Varric and Arissa know?
That's the thing.
Time stuff.
Well,
They haven't decided it yet, technically.
if you haven't decided it yet, then you can have a panic and have a chat amongst yourselves over the next few days in the game, and you can have a chat about it. But yes, that is fine. So out of character knowledge.
And then if he turns out to be 10 at some point in those few days,
Arissa's
he can just straight up tell him.
Hey, so I know I'm your mum and everything, and this is kind of awkward for me to say, but what is your name? Yes, Blue Magic.
Every now and then, Varric will just mention that to the 2-year-old anyway, hoping the kid would respond. Because, well, he has no idea when they start talking.
I love the idea of Varric just offering to shake his hand and having a full-on conversation with this child. Like, not very chatty, is he?
Varric will also at some point just give him, food. And then, random times. And then just expect him to eat with cutlery.
And then Arissa goes past very quickly and just picks up the knife like, no. Can't tell what something is.
What do you have there? A knife? No!
Best TikTok
I was learning
ever.
him juggling.
Arissa's like, I have 2 children now. Oh no.
I am tempted to do something horrible that would cause chaos in the castle.
Oh no.
I am tempted to give him the donut as a toy.
Oh no.
See, Brakens is nowhere near you right now, so as a DM, I say go ahead. If the demon was anywhere close, he'd be like, nope.
No, Varric will just keep that to himself for now.
I get the feeling Varric's going to teach his child to have a hatred of all things with horns other than the Theritas.
Most likely.
Oh god, Varric's going to raise a racist baby.
Not just that, he's gonna raise.
None of Arissa has anything to do with it.
It's gonna be a racist killing machine.
Oh man, this baby is going to be so messed up. Being a Time Lord is the least of its worries.
In fact, it might be his only escape.
Like, oh god, it's going to be that movie where the man travels and I can't remember his name, but like it's the guy who can travel and then meets this woman and then he disappears and he comes back and he disappears and he comes back, and it's like if they have an argument, it's like,
Is that the time traveler's wife?
That one, the really obvious name I should have remembered. Yes.
Ooh, I've read that book.
I think I've only seen it like in pieces while I was doing something else. So, but yeah, at some point I think they have an argument, and he just very conveniently he just disappears, and I'm like, oh, you jammy bastard! Like she has to hang on to that anger, that the rest of that argument for like a week, and wait for him to come back. Like you bastard! Oh man, that child is swole, and I don't like it. Ooh.
That kid is terrifying.
Ah, Vitheritas! Ah, Vitheritas, tell everyone what you're doing.
So Vitheritas realised he didn't have anything on him to give to the baby, so he's rushed out, travelled around the castle, found one of the rubber ducks that they'd come across in the past, and brought it back for the baby.
So, now the big question is, Vitheritas, is it a squeaking rubber duck?
Yes, it is.
Would you like to choose the colour of the rubber duck?
Off the top of my head, they were yellow.
Okay. Okay. You present it to the child. And, like, sort of looks at it curiously with those big, big eyes. Takes it out of your hand and, like, sort of, like, waves it a little bit. Ah! Ah! And then puts its other hand on it, and it makes the noise, and it drops it, and it falls to the floor, and then the child, points at the floor as if to say, like, where'd it go? And it's pointing down, like,
Okay, so Varric would quickly grab the toy, but Timo is waiting because it was too much fun to keep making you make that noise. And at that point, Varric would just grab the toy and hand it back to the kid.
I'd like to point out that my dog just walked in as if to say, what's going on in here? What's all this noise? Hello. It's okay, I'm just voicing a petulant child, it's fine. Hello. Yeah, you're a good boy, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. At which point, as well, in the narrative, Good Boy will also be sitting up, which makes him even taller, on his back legs, licking at the child while the child's making noises as if to say, it's okay, it's okay. He's like licking the child to calm him down. And the child gets handed back the rubber duck. And he, like, picks it up and, like, waves it around in front of Vitheritas's face. And sort of smiles at you, Vitheritas, as if to say, like, lick, I got the thing.
Vitheritas is just going to grin.
30 and child bonding time. It's going in the notes. It's in the notes now. It happened. It's official. So yeah. Are you guys going to sort of head on out down to breakfast? Arissa, you can finish getting dressed, of course, if you want.
Varric's probably also just gonna like quickly get dressed and such.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Arissa will get baby dressed as well.
Okay. Anything in particular you'd like to put him in?
Clothes.
Although, of course, a lot of the clothes you've got already are for, like, up to 1-year-olds.
Arissa's gonna just quickly do that Disney princess thing where she cuts up the curtains and has suddenly has the
She's gonna do a Giselle.
Do you also have a mouse helping you, or is it just helping?
I think it's pretty canon at this point that Orisa has any number of woodland creatures helping her at any one time, including Good Boy the Demon Dog. Taco probably comes in to help at some point because he's small, furry, and cute. The
little sword can double as a needle for sewing it.
I think it literally was a needle, and the little bear can help as well. The little bear is quite delighted actually because the bear has noticed. The bear, she has trained the weasel, bear, and goat to help in the morning. Yes. The little bear, Orisa, has noticed very slyly that the little sort of seat contraption you have to sit the bear in and carry him around when you guys go out is far too small for the 2-year-old. And the bear is feeling quite smug about this, and that he won't have to give up his seat and his excellent view. So he's feeling quite happy about that, but is also dreading the dreaded expression he's heard tell of, whispers in the wind, of double pushchairs.
Oh my god!
Can I use the purple scarf, the big long purple scarf, as what's that called in English?
Oh yes, use the cape of billowing for the child. Lots of helpful suggestions coming in the chat.
That one. That's the one I'm looking for. This one.
Yes, you could definitely make one of those. Oh yeah, that's a good point, Hannibal. Hannibal makes a good point. The child,
oh no.
Just in canon, the child will try to chomp on pretty much everything. But then that's a very common baby thing, I think. They get a new thing, try and chew on it. Sideboards, tables, slippers, hands, feet. Everything and anything he can reach will be chewed. And depending on how soft and easy to break it is, swallowed. Child likes to chew everything. All right, so you guys, you guys, I have a message that says I have a pun that could work. Why is this a private message? I'm scared.
Because plan.
Yes. Oh, a plan. That's nice. All right then. Yes, you do still have that. Yes. So you guys head on down to breakfast. Varric, in the meanwhile, has a plan.
Yep. So Vidatus is going to get his food.
Okay. You all go down to the dining table, and Varric, can you do me a sleight of hand check? Orisa, can you do me an insight check? No, perception check. Perception check.
Oh dear.
This works.
Also, Leah, who was playing Lily with you last week, sent a message saying that she loves you all and you were great fun. And I told her the class you chose for your baby, and she just sent me back in all capital letters going, "Oh dear God, yes, I love them."
Nice.
Okay, Orisa got a 10 for perception. Varric was you. Oh dear. All right, Orisa, you are still a bit confused, but you're quite fairly happy. There's a lot of things that are very strange, but you're working with it. It's fine. You're an open-minded individual. It's all fine. And, it's okay. You go down, you have some breakfast, and you're sort of sitting there eating. Meanwhile, Varric, you, without anyone noticing, well, without Orisa noticing, you manage to feed your child every so often great glob handfuls of the marshmallow you still have in your jar. from World's Edge. And very slowly over the course of your breakfast, the child's hair starts to slowly just stick up on end a little bit, as if the child had sort of rubbed its head against one of those balloons. And what colour was the marshmallow like? It was like white, wasn't it? Okay, so it's not going to die.
It was basically similar to snow.
Yeah, it was just the snow marshmallow. Okay. Very white lips. Lots of lip smacking going on. Eventually, Arissa, you're alerted to the fact that your child is going... And all around your child's mouth, there is white, like, sugary paste. Got a bright white tongue. There's only, like, maybe 2 or 3 teeth that have just started to poke through that he's got. And there's this big grin on his face and big wide eyes, really dilated pupils, like eyebrows, like reaching up into his hairline, and he's clapping his hands and he's like clicking his heels together and he's smacking his hands on the table. One of the servants had managed to bring like one of their own personal high chairs to the table for you. By the looks of it, it's an older one, so it's probably one that was used for their own children, but they've brought it seeing this sudden turn of events. But again, no one seems to be questioning it because you guys are strange. And at this point, it's
just like, I'll just bring a high chair. It's fine.
It's fine. I mean, there was already one set up for the little bear anyway. So, and Taco has his own sort of little like pile of books on top of another chair. So they've got plenty of small creatures at the table already. What's another one? But yeah, as Varric has said in the chat, yes, this child can now see sounds, and your baby is looking very, very excited, and is sat there.
She locks Varric in a death glare.
Oh. Varric's just gonna slightly scooch over.
That's a good point. Arissa, legit, add this to your character sheet.
Oh.
Every day, what level are you? You are 9, aren't you? Or are you 10 now?
We're level 10.
Was it 10? Okay. Arissa, 5 times per long rest, you can use Mother's Withering Stare. The person, if you're using it in combat, the person you are staring at, or glaring at, whichever, the person or creature you're glaring at has to be a creature, can't be an object. Like you couldn't do it to a door, for example, much as you'd like to. The creature you are staring at has to succeed on a charisma. It's going to be charisma, I think. I changed my mind. Charisma. Has to do a charisma save versus a DC of 16, or they are essentially paralyzed for 1 round out of fear. So I'll type that up for you. 5 times per long rest. Mother's Withering Stare. Oh, I spelled that wrong. There you go.
You know, I heard you start saying, yeah, like literally that gif.
Yep.
5 times per long rest.
5 times per long rest.
Use
Mother's Withering
knows.
Stare. Mother knows best. You can use that if you want. We can call it Mother knows best. Mother knows best. Stare. So you have to be able to see the creature. You have to be able to make eye contact with the creature. Please, dear God, don't try and use this against a Medusa. No, wait, do use it against a Medusa. That'll be the best. That'll be the best showdown ever.
I'm gonna use it. Just like she just wanders on in and goes, and what have you been doing? And what do you think you were planning?
The same thing we do every night. Take over the world.
Trying to take over the world.
There you go. Okay, so Arissa, 5 times per long rest, you can use Mother Knows Best, the stare action. The creature has to make a charisma save against a 16 DC. Failure will leave them paralyzed in shame for 1 round.
Beautiful, I love it.
You don't have to use one of your 5 at Varric. I'm going to say from now until the end of time, Varric gets free ones. Unless you're in combat and you want to use it against Varric, by all means do so. But yes, so you can have that. I meant to add that to a sheet last week, but yes, that's your thing.
It seems like the perfect time to add it, though. When you use it.
But yeah, you feel like a crackle of some sort of bardic magic deep in your heart and your soul, and suddenly, like, those eyes, they're quite blue, your eyes, Arissa.
Yeah, they're very, very blue.
For a second, as you're looking at her, Varric, they seem to sort of crackle with some sort of, like, blue energy, and they sort of, like, seem to, like, glow a sort of blue, a little bit like Hannibal, and your future child will, just a little bit sort of like sudden like a glow, and she like stares at you in utter disappointment. And yeah, Arissa, you feel like you could use this to your advantage in, say, combative situations.
Mm-hmm. This is gonna be fun.
So yeah, sorry, Varric, you're being glared at.
Yep. The GIF I just sent is the exact response Varric has.
Oh, lordy! So, Arissa, Varric is staring at you, much like that GIF, praying to any god that will listen to him.
None of them will. Shall have no fury like a mother's disappointment.
Wait, wouldn't Varric be somewhat, sort of, be used to disappointing a mother figure? He's done that several times so far.
Oh my god, I love that quote from her. He's gaining some self-preservation. Finally.
Says Hannibal about Varric. I think that's probably the nicest thing she's ever said about you. With that.
She just pops in, grabs a waffle, says that, and then leaves.
Yep. I'm down with that, Hannibal. Yep, Hannibal's just like, yes. Hannibal appears from the future, covered in leaves, and just announces, Varric, you are finally getting some self-preservation, and then poof, steals a waffle and disappears. Ah, Vetheritas, what are you doing?
So, seeing the kids getting excitable, he's going to just start mimicking animal noises for him to entertain him.
Ah, alright. What sort of animals would you like to do for the child?
Considering he's got a whole menagerie to pick from, he'll probably start with the goat and the weasel.
I was going to say, mimicking animals, we've got a whole fucking zoo.
The Veritas, do me a performance check with advantage because you can mimic voices. Because why have combat encounters when you could have determinedly stop the baby from screaming? This is the whole encounter in itself. You can make a flower grow out of wooden surfaces using Druidcraft. Why not?
Nice. In that case, I make flowers sprout out of the tree around the kid.
This is going to be the most entertained child ever. Like, this child's never going to get anything done.
Yep.
24. Alright, yeah.
His mother is literally a bard. So.
The Theratas, your animal noises are on point. In fact, everyone else, like Arissa and Varric, you stop your glare off, like, just for a second. Like, Taco and Ragnar and everyone else around the table just stops to stare and listen to the Theratas. There's a narrative, somehow, through all the, like, squawking and squeaking and squealing and grunting. There's common enemies, and there's a moral to it, there's a lesson, and the whole thing culminates in a rather fantastic rendition of a goat tap dancing. It's brilliant.
This all gives him the idea to actually start speaking to the animals in their own damn tongue.
Nice. Now you can berate them when they don't listen. Much like you did the cursed shield.
He'll also consider lecturing Varric occasionally in goat. It would probably sound an awful lot like goats screaming.
So, the Theratos is now your permanent screaming goat residence, which is rather marvellous.
Oh my god, Verti can now charge into battle screaming like a goat.
He can scream like literally anything. It'll be brilliant.
Should we possibly tell Lemon about the kid? That's Varric, by the way, saying that out loud at dinner. Breakfast.
You're eating so much, it could be dinner.
Either or, maybe both. Wait, so what you're saying is the key to killing Hannah is the kid?
What's Hannibal posting now? Hannibal is annoyed at how the kid turned out, stealing so much from her. Usually kids would be completely normal. He is practically also part hers, and her race never has kids as they tend to grow up and kill the parents and steal their powers.
After speaking like animals for a bit, Vitheritus actually realised they still have a zoo to look after, so he's going to wander out and have a look at them.
Okay. So Vitheritus goes to wander out to your zoo. Is there anything on your guys' list of things you'd like to do today? Vitheritus is debating whether he gets into a screaming match with one of the goats.
Probably the dire one.
Oh, probably. If you're going to go for it, you know. Do the thing properly.
Glenn,
Yep.
quick question. Could you combine thaumaturgy and goat scream?
Yep.
Because that's an instant killer of everything made of glass in an entire village. Probably.
Yeah, because I can triple the volume.
Yep.
The battle cry has been decided. Khan the Clip shall now have villagers from miles around. Oh god, what is it? They're coming. So, the Theratos, as you head down and round the side of the keep to go to the animal menagerie, the zoo, essentially, the small zoo, you're considering charging people admission because there's plenty of animals to come look at. You could be a petting zoo. People could come and pet the animals and it would be great and lovely. They'd have a wonderful time. Shh, they come, says the gif. I love it. The Theratos, can you do me a perception check?
Can do. How much do I add to that?
Okay, 20. Alright. As you are going, Theratos, you hear what can only be described as commotion. Barrick's just making it. Everything the light touches is yours forever. What's that shadowy place over there? That's Travis. You should never go there, Simba. It's not that bad. It's all chill. It's fine.
So Vitheritus will go to investigate the commotion.
Alright, it is coming from the town of Stock itself. People are running about. Some children are laughing. Some children are screaming. It's sort of getting on to the middle of the morning, and you can just see a lot of people running about. They don't seem to be panicking, There's some sort of chaos going on that seems to be sweeping through the town. And as you look, with such a high roll, as you sort of look out, you can see that a lot of the market stalls have been sort of tipped over. There's a lot of food and fruit rolling all over the place. And you can see somewhere in another street, there's like some sort of dust and papers like flying into the air behind houses. And then further down behind that, there's some more shouts and cries going on. Not distressed, but more sort of surprised. And again, some laughter from some of the younger members of the town.
Wait, doesn't this happen like daily here? Or at least some form of chaos?
Some form of chaos. It's like, conveniently, since you guys have come back, it's all gone a little bit doolally.
So Vitharitus is going to summon his Zulk over and then go and investigate.
Okay. Meanwhile, you guys still at the breakfast table. What would you guys like to do? Chaos. Our work is done. I like that. That is a good meme. And it has a seal on it, which is great. But yeah, so Arissa and Varric, what would you like to do?
Varric is still trying to entertain the kid by like juggling stuff that he has and that kind of stuff.
Alright, Varric, do an acrobatics check.
That's that one. That's going according to plan.
I can't tell if serious or not. We'll find out soon. 9? Oh, and that 1 plus 8. No. So you try to sneak that 9 past me. No.
It almost worked.
I was like, 9, that's not bad. Wait a second, that 1 plus 8. Wait a minute. No. Just very so that 1 plus an 8, so that'll be 9? What was that? What was the first thing you said again, Varric? What was that first thing you said? 6. Okay, so with your epic nat 1 fail, what is it you're juggling? Don't change your mind just because you got a nat 1.
Yeah, I was going to say knives, because that's the kind of stuff that he has near him now.
Okay, so all of the knives that Arissa has confiscated from near the child off the table, Varric starts. So you've got like bread and butter knives, you've got sort of general cutlery knives, and you've got some pretty large hefty steak knives, because let's be honest, there's usually something pretty heavy that you've got to cut through because, well, ever since Varric came back, meals are much bigger. So, you know...
Wait, don't we have teeth to cut into steak?
That's a good point. Varric doesn't cut things, he just picks them up like a burger and just eats it. Like, why do you need cutlery? That's why you're juggling it. What even is this? Like, what do we need this for? Potatoes, whole jacket potato, insert into gob. So, I can imagine it too. Scooby-Doo moment. You start juggling, you pick up some knives, it's all cool. You like throw them up, you add a 5th one, a 6th one, this is fine, this is great, the child's laughing, you're like, this is gonna be great, this is my life now, what a fantastic way to, ow, that was me eye! And then, in quick succession, dunk, 3 of the knives drop, and you didn't quite catch them, and a butter knife, thankfully, slams into your thigh, bounces off, doesn't do any damage, you might have a little bruise, but the butter knife is okay. One of the steak knives slams you in the forehead. It gets you on the side. You're going to take about 6 points of damage just from the edge, just the very edge of this knife. And it sort of like it leaves a line, a very clean line, like straight down the middle of your forehead, right across, like horizontally, like zhunk, and then like drops to the floor beside the table. Clang, 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 clang. Another one doof, hits you on the arm. It nicks you just above your elbow. Love the gift. You only take 2 points of damage from that one, so 6, 7, 8 in total at the moment. And then the third one, it's a big knife. It's not a steak knife, but it does hit you. Hits you on the other leg, like right on the edge. You won't take any points from that one though. But yeah, you just sort of get hit. On the positive side, the child is looking at you with massive wide eyes. And from your experience, Varric, when you were high on the high, for want of a better word, oh my god, the first day with your child and it's high. Right, there we go.
My work, it is done.
Oh, where's that seal gift gone? from your experience being high on the sugar from that candy cane, that cotton candy from the snow, you remember that everything just gets so much more vibrant, and you remember that like you'd wave your hand in front of your face and like colours would trail after it, and that is quite literally where I can erase it. Annabelle makes a very good point. This kid needs to be magical to survive this group. She pops in, takes another waffle. Your kid's going to need to be magic to survive you, and pops back out again. Double checking that the kid in the future really does exist. So far is alright. But the child is laughing at you, and you can tell, Varric, that what probably happened is the knives all made spinny rainbow patterns in the air, and when they hit you, it probably made a small explosion of like patterns and colour as they landed. Dun, dun, dun. And the kid's like laughing and clapping at you. That was like a really creepy laugh. I'm sorry. I can't do children. Your child is now creepy until they turn about 7. I apologise. Oh my god! No! That's the most horrible thing I've ever seen. I'm going to send those to comments just to get rid of that horrible picture. Ugh.
It's gone.
Someone sent a... Was it you, Matt? Horrible picture of like a balding Smeagol baby. That's terrifying. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So yeah, while that commotion at the breakfast table is happening,
This was the other option I was going to send.
I like that one better. That one can stay. That one's better. That one's less terrifying. That one just looks like the Omen. The other one looked like, I don't know, placenta or something. So...
Oh, this one.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry, it is sad.
Arissa, you've just witnessed the father of your child juggling steak knives. They all dropped on him. And the child is laughing. But yeah, this is occurring. There you go. Arissa's done the dot so the child goes away. But yeah, Arissa, did you have a response to this? Or just watching the chat go, nope, 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 nope. Yeah, I got that too, Arissa. I got called out for putting in too many messages. It's a problem. Twitch Hannibal just back in. Why is it all beeping? It's like, yes, they were trying to get rid of pictures, so they were just putting dot, 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 dot. Sorry about that.
So Varric's just juggled with knives and failed
Impaled
miserably.
himself, yeah, a few times. He's fine. He's got a cut across his forehead, but it's not like deep or anything. It's fine. The kid is very entertained, very high, massive, like really wide eyes, like foaming at the mouth, laughing, but you know, laughing.
She just kind of looks at him, just like, fucking really.
Yeah, I thought the kid would like it, and hey, look at him.
Don't encourage him to play with knives, Varric. I don't want our baby to stab himself to death.
But we're teaching him young so that he won't stab himself. I mean,
No!
I went out for my first hunt when I was young.
How young?
Very young.
How young is very young?
Well, 10, but for an elf.
He's 2.
Yes. So that's an excellent time to start learning how to fight.
No, it's not.
Also,
He can walk, but he will still walk into things.
Huh.
Now is not the time.
Maybe we should wait like a few days then till he walks. That's how it works with you humans, right?
No. Elves grow up quicker than humans. Yeah, he is. Arissa's probably just assuming.
Well, the point of yours to give it away a bit.
She's just assuming that he'll grow up like a human.
Oh, I just.
Arissa is not smart, okay?
She's had a very interesting morning, alright? It's fine. Based on the traits of the baby's parents, the baby is here. Hot, crazy. Hot, crazy scale. To be fair.
Yeah, because he got my crazy and Arissa's hot.
Okay, speaking of hot and crazy. The Theratas, you summon your elk, ride into town. As you get further into the middle of town, you get towards the market square. People are righting carts again, picking up food that they can salvage, sweeping away debris. It looks like something or someone has been barreling into the carts, knocking things over. There's some scorch marks on like bits of the stonework and on some of the carts themselves, and no one appears hurt themselves, but a lot of them are all picking themselves up and looking around very confused.
He's just going to first look around and then see if there's anyone that's not currently busying themselves sort of writing everything and ask, what happened here?
Cool. You've got a choice. You've got a group of laughing, probably about 7-year-old children. Probably there's like 3 of them. They're all laughing. You've got what looks like one of their parents, a mother who is desperately trying to dust one of them off and wipe some grub off their knees. And you've got an older gentleman who's sitting, puffing on a pipe.
He's going to look at the older gentleman.
Okay. What are you asking him?
What happened here? What's caused all this ruckus?
Not sure. Couldn't see. I'm getting a bit blind. But our son came through mighty fast, caused a lot of chaos. Stealing food, knocking things over. Nearly caught me cane.
And he's like holding like a walking stick out to help him stand. And there's like a small scorch mark along the bottom of it.
Yeah, clipped me it did. Don't know what they think they was doing this early in the morning.
Could you just say what it sounded like?
Very fast. Sort of high-pitched growl. Nothing I've ever heard before. And we've heard some weird shit round here.
The therapist is just going to chuckle slightly and go, I'm certain you have.
Yeah, well, that's why we got you lot now. Come and sort it all out.
Well, I'll do my best to see if I can help with this. And he's just going to now just follow the trail of destruction.
Yeah, good luck to you. Give him what for? This early in the morning, goodness sake.
And he sort of goes back to mumbling to himself and smoking his pipe. You follow the trail of destruction. It goes around the corner. Market stalls being disrupted. Around another corner, there's like a very small sort of library next to a sort of bookshop. They're still rebuilding up their sort of trade, so it's very, very small. But essentially, there's lots of sort of papers and books that have been scattered. It looks as if a couple of people have been just coming out of one or going into the other, either the library or the bookshop, and things have been scattered. There's like burning pages falling from the sky still, where things have been like thrown up in the air and they're coming back down to land. A few people are sort of stamping out the pages like and there's more sort of scorch marks on the floor as well, you can see, like and do a perception check.
And that's the plus 1. So that is 16.
Okay. You also see what looks like blackened, sort of like burnt footprints heading off in the direction of all the rest of the destruction.
He's going to pick up the pace with the elk as much as he possibly can without actually trampling anyone.
Alrighty. A few people sort of, for the second time this morning, jump out of the way when they see you. They're all in the process of picking things up. There's a few smashed windows. It looks like whatever this is has gone into people's houses, through the front door and then out through a window or vice versa. There's bits of fabric, curtains and draping that have been pulled out. Some of it still litters the street, some of it seems to have been taken with it. There are bits of bunting from festivals that have been like pulled down from the middle of the street. All this chaos continues. And then you can hear a group of people. And there's quite a large group of people collected. And they have collected around the bakery. And there's sort of like a big throng outside, and there's some shouts and some crashes going on inside the bakery. Sorry, Varric.
So Vitharitus will ride up and then dismount. And presuming the noises are still going on in there, he's going to try and make his way through the crowd to enter the bakery and investigate.
Yep. Okay, you manage to push your way through. And as you get to the bakery, this is the one that Varric very frequently frequents. Oh god, that was hard to say. Frequently frequents. Jeez. Do not get tipsy and say that. It's not massive, it's quite long and thin. Out the back is where you know all the stoves and things are. Lots of very nice smells combined with quite a lot of burning. The place doesn't seem to be on fire. Just there are scorched footprints. And you can see as you get in, there are footprints and they go through the front door, which is usually open for clientele to come in. They seem to jump onto the countertop. And somehow there are some on the ceiling as well. And there's also what you can see, blackened claw prints as well, going along the ceiling. The shouting is coming from the back room, which appears to be where all the ovens and the baking actually happens. There's only one person in the shop. And they look like one of the baker's assistants from out the back. They've got like an apron on, they've got flour in their hair, they've got sort of black soot across one cheek, and they're sort of bent over. He's a sort of middle-aged, portly chap, and he's bent over, clutching his stomach and his knees, sort of going...
So Vitharitus is going to head towards the back past him, but he's going to ask what's in there as he goes past.
I don't know. Fast little bugger. Oh, there's a lot of flour in there. It can set fire to the old bloody place.
You might want to get the crowd back then.
Right, good point. Right, okay. And he heads out the front door. Barrett just sending it. He attacks the bakery! And it's like back in 300. Charge!
So Vitharitus is just going to stride through into the back.
Alright, the man heads off to go and get the crowd to draw backwards for you. As you enter the back bit, you can see maybe half a dozen people, including what looks like the two shopkeepers at the front. They're wearing more normal clothes, they have less flour on them. Everybody is covered in quite a lot of black soot though, because all around, like, there's several sort of big, massive furnace ovens where they cook trays and trays and trays of things. Many of the trays have been pulled out and thrown everywhere. There is hot cross buns all over the place. There's donuts, there's bread. It's all over the place. A lot of it has been ripped apart. There's chunks taken out of it. There's huge bite marks. For half a second, you think, Varric? Before shaking your head and realising, no, that couldn't be true. Wait, no, is it? No, Varric, we're sleepwalking again. But the bite mark, you realise, is probably a bit too wide to be Varric. It doesn't look human. because there's a lot of bread been thrown about. One of the tables on the back wall is currently bouncing up and down off the floor, and several of the bakers are like surrounding it, like Tangled style, holding up frying pans and rolling pins, and they're sort of standing there like, and this table is like as something is like running around underneath it.
So Vitheritus is going to just stride up towards the table.
Varric has dropped in chat, Vitheritas is befriending a new pet. Alright, you head up towards the table. Alright, the table probably comes up to about, oh, you're quite tall actually, so just under your waist, probably more hip height. And it's huge. It takes up like a good half of the kitchen. It runs right down the middle. There's two of them with a walkway between them, and this one runs all the way back. And you can see that there is icing everywhere. There's a huge vat of it on the table. It looks like they were just doing some of the crosses on the hot cross buns and covering a lot of the donuts. There's sprinkles and hundreds and thousands everywhere all across the floor. Chairs have been knocked out the way. There's rolling pins on the floor, and there's like sticky black burning footprints through the like sugary syrupy mixture going under this table, accompanied by, as you get closer, you can hear chomping and sort of and the table starts bouncing up and down again as whatever it is can't quite fit underneath and seems to be like hitting its head every time it moves along underneath the table.
So he's going to drop to one knee to check underneath the table.
Alright.
And he's going to be reaching into one of his bags as well.
Alrighty. I'm just going to try and find a picture, because I saved one of what you are looking at under this table. There it is. Okay, I will drop it in chat. So, as you look under this table, you drop to one knee. Some of the bakers sort of back off around you, and they're like, I haven't got time for this morning. Oh, man. It set us back hours of work. God, where'd it come from? No idea, etc., etc. You see a creature. This creature is roughly up to maybe just above your knee, Vitheritas. But it's crouched and bouncy. And it seems this is what's happening. Every time it runs, it bounces and it smacks its head into the table. Its body is sort of like black and red. And it looks sort of like, almost like scales, but not quite, like really large sort of scales. And underneath the skin, like you can see flecks of flame. It's got big, bulging, flamey eyes, claws, and big clawed feet. And Vitheritas, could you please do me a wisdom check?
Noted.
Annabelle's dropped in chat. Yay! More animals.
Ooh. I
Right.
think I know where this came from.
That's a 9.
Rag's putting things together. Okay. Vitheritas, it's vaguely familiar, but you're not sure where from.
So Vitheritus is going to ponder that for a little bit, but he's going to pull out some food from his pack, and based on its look, he's going to speak to it in Infernal and ask it to come out from under the table, please.
Okay. Okay. Vitheritas, do a persuasion. With disadvantage, because it doesn't speak your language. But it will see the food.
Okay. So that was the lowest, and I get to add that. So that's a 15.
Okay. The creature that in its hands, down its arm, it has, and bear in mind that these bakers are used to feeding Varric, so the donuts in this town have got bigger. Where usually you'd be able to hold it in one hand, now the whole of the donut would pretty much go around your fist, essentially. That's how big these donuts have now gotten. And they haven't jacked their prices up too much. It's been very kind, it's been very nice. Legacy, baby! Yes, Varric. Basically, it has got, Arissa would love it, essentially, bracelet bangles of donuts. About 17, all the way up both of its arms. And it's like feasting on them, and it's got a huge loaf of bread in both its hands, and it's dipping the bread in the icing on the floor. Yes, that's now this big. Yes. And I'm gonna like that as well. Yes, there you go. DM approval. And it hears you. It sort of looks around, and you see that it's got a sort of really big mouth, like sharp, flaming teeth. I'm going to edit the picture slightly because I think flaming teeth is way more fun. And every time it bites into the bread, it sort of burns and turns it into toast. But it looks around. What food are you offering it for Veritas?
It would be dried meats.
Okay. It drops the bread out of its hand. And it sort of like sniffs the air. And then it doof, 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 bounces over towards you. Doof, 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 doof. And a clawed hand reaches out and snatches the meat out of your hand. It starts eating all of it. But it is now out from under the table. It's now next to you.
So Vitheritus is going to grin at it, and he's going to step back towards the door out the front, and he's going to pull out another piece of meat.
All right. The creature like sniffs and like bounces towards you. All the chefs and the bakers are like stood there with rolling pins, and it like bounces after you, like a bit like a small flaming tigger at this point. And it like reaches up to come and grab the meat from you, takes it out of your hand.
So Vitheritus is going to try and lure it back to the castle by drip feeding it pieces of meat.
Okay.
And he's going to shout over his shoulder at the bakers, just going, "Send the charges for the repairs to us, and we'll deal with this thing."
Okay. You successfully managed to get its attention with all this meat. It's been surrounded by sugar. Meat is new and interesting. As you go back through the town, everyone is staring. The kids are pointing and laughing like, "Yeah, there it is, there it is, there it is!" And some of them are like, "Can we pet it?" And the mothers are like, "No, you can't!" You do hear some mumblings of just sort of like, of course, the tiefling can charm the fire creature, of course. And various things to that ilk. Most of them just seem relieved that someone's got this situation vaguely under control. Some of the Annabelle in chat just goes, "Wow, a tiefling racist." So this creature's like flaming, and you're like from hell. So are you like related, or? But you do manage to get this creature back to the keep. Through the front door. The front door slams behind you. It takes the piece of meat out of your hand. And it's bouncing and looking around. It's got a really big grin on its really terrifyingly flamey face.
The therapist is going to quickly look around to see what it spotted.
It spotted the really, really large human-sized gem embedded in the floor, and it like bounced over, dun, 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 and it's sort of like, it's a small creature, so it's not like shaking the windows and making it rattle, but it is causing enough noise that the two of you upstairs having breakfast, Arissa and Varric, can hear this noise. It sounds a lot like a du-dush, 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 du-dush. Du-dush, du-dush, du-dush. And it gets on top of the massive gem and starts like clawing at it.
The therapist is just going to follow along and now study at what it's doing.
Okay. Meanwhile, Varric and Orissa, you hear this commotion coming from downstairs.
I'd like to go and investigate.
I will pick up the baby and follow.
Okay. You guys come downstairs and you see the scene before you. Betheritas, who you can practically hear rolling his eyes as you walk up behind him, and a creature. Oh, both of you do wisdom checks. See if you remember where you may have seen this creature before.
Ooh, wisdom.
Yes. Because you're remembering. That's my logic. Hey, go Orissa. 17 for Orissa. And it's sat on top of this massive gem that you haven't been able to unwedge from your floor, sort of clawing at it and occasionally chewing at it with its like flaming teeth to no avail. It seems like gem, diamond, and flaming teeth are just the unstoppable object meets the immovable force, and just nothing's happening. Says Vitheritas. Okay, 17 for both of you. Cool. You guys both remember you have seen a very similar creature to this. It was sat next to a woman that you know very well and her husband. And you remember that Emily had a creature very similar to this one. Emily and him. What? Varric drawing a card. Orissa in mum mode. That's in the scene reading. Oh dear. Yeah. All the guests today. All the guests and memes. Beautiful. So yeah, that's what you two remember. You've seen something similar to this before, and there's a Vitheritas and a flaming creature.
So, Verti,
Yeah, Varric?
when did your egg hatch?
The therapist is going to blink, look at the creature, and then he's going to start rummaging in his bag quickly.
Alright. In your bag, you find one very small piece of eggshell. It's broken, right at the very bottom, and there's like a few other almost dust bits and pieces of it.
He's just going to keep looking at the creature and say, somewhere between yesterday and today?
So, if you were carrying the egg and it hatched, are you then technically its mother?
I don't think it works that way.
Huh. In that case, is it eating our food?
Well, to be honest, it's been technically eating my food and everything in the bakery.
What? The bakery?
Oh no, you said Varric sugarware.
So what do you plan to do about it? Are we just gonna tame him and hope he doesn't eat the bakery again?
Well, as far as we can tell, its sibling was actually quite useful for our friends up north. And
That's true.
if this one's going to behave, then I see no reason why not. It can't join us. And he's just going to look at you, Varric, and go, every other animal we have.
What can I say, Varric? You keep picking up eggs and thinking things are cute and befriending them rather than killing them. You're very
Varric's
lucky you don't
gonna-
have a giant goose at this point.
Varric's gonna look at Verti and he's gonna go, a wise man once said that we didn't need more animals for the zoo, right? And then he's just gonna wink and he's gonna say, well, if you can promise he won't eat my food, I'm fine with it. If he eats my food, he will become food.
The therapist just looks between Varric and the creature and goes, I think my money would still be on this little critter.
Nah.
The therapist has a moment of brilliance.
Uh-huh.
Looks at the creature, looks at Varric, looks back at the creature and says, I bet you he can eat more food than you can.
Oh!
Oh no. You know what? Let's settle this once and for all. Oh, cooks.
Alright. Annabelle in chat. Oh, he did it now.
I'm gonna use the cantrip message
Okay.
because
To
that
send
can...
word to the kitchens.
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to tell them? The poor early morning cooks who've just risen to have their morning stuff.
Okay, can you bring us, like, all the food?
You get a reply back. All the food?
As much as possible. I have to... Some Verti here just told me I couldn't eat it all.
Oh no. We thought this day would come. Right. Okay. We'll see you in the dining hall.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You've got about 20 minutes before all the food they can possibly think to bring you is brought to the dining room. So, do you have anything you want to do or say? Last will and testament, etc.
I'd like to limber up. Varric's like stretching and everything.
The therapist is just going to coax the critter down and try and find a non-flaming spot critter to sit where food can be brought to it.
Basically, the hearth. Is that a word? Hearth?
Yep.
The fireplace.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got one of those in the dining room, so you head on up, have a think about it, because the creature, as it walks along, it is leaving sort of like singed footprints. It doesn't set fire to anything, but like the impact of its feet on the ground does leave footprints, which on the one hand will be very useful for tracking it. On the other hand, does mean that the marble floors downstairs are fine, but the wooden floor in the dining room is looking a little singed, as it sort of like it gets into this huge new space and immediately bounces and goes running round, and it does in fact go running up one of the walls like
Uh-oh.
It runs sort of like around the windowsill and up and round and then all the way back down the other side, and then you sort of direct it towards the fireplace and it sits like sort of shuffling its feet. It sort of sits in the fireplace.
The therapist is going to pull out the remainder of whatever rations he's got on him and plonk a nice pile in front of it.
Alright, the creature starts to graze its way through the food as a distraction.
In the meantime, the therapist is also going to look over at Arissa and say, you can speak to pretty much anyone or anything, right?
Huh? What? Yes? I mean, I can speak to them, but I don't know if they always understand me. Sometimes I don't know if I understand myself.
The therapist is just going to smile and say, well, I think you've got a better chance of communicating with the critter than I do. Short of just giving it food.
That's usually my technique, but I'll give it a go. Here, hold this. She just hands him the baby.
Patheratus is just going to hold the baby as given, but in kind of a how do I do this kind of like frozen panic.
The child seems quite comfortable around you. The baby tries to grab your horns, and not being particularly strong, but when it grabs your horns, without actually you do sort of feel a small pulse of magic. It doesn't damage, but it's like a sort of like a woof, and it sort of goes all the way through your horns right to the very tips as the kid sort of like hangs on with both hands to one of them, like ha, ha. Meanwhile, Arissa, how are you going to attempt to commune with the creature?
I'm gonna get down to the creature's level and just be like, and reach out with one hand and just be like, "Hey there, buddy."
All right. Are you saying this in any particular language?
Well, I would like to cast Comprehend Languages.
Okay. So are you casting it on the creature to understand you?
I think it might be a self spell. Let me double check.
Okay.
It is a self spell.
Okay. So you cast it on yourself to understand the creature. All right. Cool.
But she only knows Common and Gnomish, I think, so...
Okay. Alright, cast a spell. And you're saying hello?
Pretty much, yeah.
So the creature, midway through its feast of meats, and with some still in its gob, clutched in its flaming claw, you also notice, Arissa, the familiar smell, given the breakfast you had this morning with the snow cotton candy incident. It smells quite strongly of sugar.
Oh dear.
And sort of big flamey eyes sort of look up at you as it's chomping. Hello?
Hiya. You having a good meal?
Yeah.
She's just kind of like, I don't really know what to say to this thing. Oh, and she kind of looks back at Bertie and goes, "Are we trying to get this thing to come with us?"
Well, if we can at least keep it from running through the town and eating everything in there.
She turns back to the creature and goes, "You know, I know a place where there's lots of food."
Yeah, my belly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in my house. She points over to where Carnal Keep is.
Oh.
Do you want to come and try some of the food?
Nice.
Yeah, the food is very nice.
Yes.
Okay then, take my hand and let's go.
It takes your hand. It burns.
Ow!
Ow.
It like mimics your ow and like pulls back.
Okay, she's going to kind of turn and start walking back to Carnal Keep then. Just kind of trying not to let the pain show in her face.
Okay, the creature follows you, and you can hear the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do as it bounces. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. As you guys are walking, the cooks with the food come up alongside you. Varric, you're swept up in all of this, but Theritas is following. And
Still holding the child.
you guys are all set up in the huge room. And one of the cooks says to you, Varric, did you want this in your usual, just sort of buffet style, or was there a particular theme you're going for? We're very sorry, we thought breakfast would do.
Well, normally it would, but then that one tried to insinuate that there's something that can eat more than me. And I point at Verti. I'm just going to call him out to make him...
Every cook in that place looks at you, Veritas, with a look of, why? Why did you do this? They're not going to, it's not rude. They wouldn't be rude to you, but it is a look of sort of, oh dear God, man, why? You poked the bear in the one place you shouldn't poke the bear.
So Matthias will just smile, say, trust me, there's method to the madness. It will be worth it in the end.
Are you trying to get the creature to respect me after I beat it, or...?
Matthias just turns to look at Varric and say, I'm certain you're not going to win.
The cooks again share a sort of, what, you see, egging him on. And they sort of place all of this food on the table. They've put sort of the hot stuff towards the outside so you can get to it first, and then there's sweet stuff in the middle so you can sort of work your way through. They have managed to prepare quite a lot. It seems that the kitchens in this place, particularly with the money given to them continuously, you guys are basically single-handedly keeping this town afloat just by the money you're giving to the people making food. They seem to continuously have a long string, whenever you guys are home, of just, there is always a meal being prepared at any one time. Several meals. There is jacket potatoes, there is mashed potatoes, there is boiled mash stuck in a stew, there is stew, there is pie, there is sweet pie, there is meat pie, there is meats, there is dried meats, there is cured meats, there is vegetables of every colour and variety, there is fruit, there is punch, there is sweets, there is candy, there is juice, there is tea, coffee, wine, and of course there is a selection of cakes. Varric is in heaven. Varric died, Varric's in heaven. This is all this is. We're just pretending. This is it. But it's all set out. They set out a chair. They start to set out 2 chairs, assuming you want 2, but then they look and they see the creature, and a lot of them take a jump back. Maybe just the one chair? And they sort of look at the wooden, very ornately carved, beautiful wooden chairs. Yeah, just the one chair. So they set you out a chair. Everyone else has a chair around the other side of the table. The 2 contestants, if you will, are set out on the opposite side. They sort of go and fetch, it's like a sort of a block. It looks like it might have once been part of maybe a courtyard or something, but it's made of essentially stone. And they sort of set it down so that the little flamey creature can step up onto it. And with Arissa's encouragement, it does so, and looks around. Arissa, how long does your comprehend languages last for, if you can get to it before I can? Comprehend.
It lasts an hour.
Oh no, okay, cool. So you can still understand the creature then. Yes, cue the man versus food gifts now. And you visibly hear the creature say to you, both itself and you, ah, wow, oh, by the hells, that's a lot of food.
Yeah, I told you it was good.
Is it all for me?
She kind of side-eyes Varric.
No.
Varric, you can't understand. You don't know.
Oh yeah, fair.
Although to be fair, the creature's probably looking at this table of food. It's a bit like another child eyeing up your favourite toy, with its arms out like, ah.
In that case, Varric would still go, no.
No.
Yes. So she turns and says yes to the creature. And then in her head, she rings Varric and says, "This is my revenge for the knife juggler."
Just a growl.
Alright, so you guys how you've got two options for this. Essentially, you could do it until one of you throws up. Essentially, like the best of 5 rolls against each other. Or you could do it so you've got like a set amount of time. So you've got to see who can eat the most in, say, 20 minutes, or you can just keep eating until one of you physically throws up. I think I know Garrett's answer.
Varric is up to like eating whatever.
Everything. Alright, cool. What a time for a nat 20, Varric. Okay. So, Arissa, are you going to sort of explain to the creature what is...
She's just going to set him loose.
Go forth and eat, little one.
And Varric sort of taking the lead from the creature, realising he's about to pounce and start eating the food, you go for it as well.
Yep.
Alright, so, at what point are you doing the thing you messaged me?
Just at some point during the eating to distract, basically. You understand.
Yeah, okay. Just let me know at what point you'd like to do it. So what I will do is I will do, if both of you can do a constitution check for now, not a save yet, just a constitution check.
Constitution, that would be a 16 total.
Alright, so, the creature goes for the first thing with insight, essentially. A massive pie, and starts to shovel it in its face.
My pie!
Varric, are you going to take the pie from him?
Yes.
Okay, do a strength check.
Can't I just start chewing on the other side?
I mean, sure. It's going to try and pull it back, though, to be fair. Alright.
Strength is one of those words I can never spell correct.
Oh, me neither, it's fine. Okay, the creature got an 11. So, you guys, you sort of like, you grab the other end of it, and the creature is a bit surprised, and you start to chew on the other end as well, and it immediately tries to eat back, but you got better than him for your constitution, so you managed to take the rest of the pie and finish it. So essentially, Varric, you have won this round. So we'll call that 1-0 for now. Okay. Next up, the creature is going to lean in and is going for a huge plate of sandwiches. Varric, what would you like to go for? Meanwhile, the rest of you, feel free to place bets, do things, do not do things. Varric, the Theratas is taking out his paper and taking notes on the creature. Preferred foods, how much it eats, and how it treats the others. It is ignoring everyone except occasionally Varric and the food.
Varric's just gonna go for basically anything within reach. Probably the biggest things, such as like rotisserie chicken or something.
Okay, yeah, there is like a massive, massive, massive chicken. So the creature's gone for the sandwiches and has got a 19 total. What have you got?
Is that for Constitution?
Yes, your Constitution. Still just check for now. We're not into saves just yet.
19.
Ooh, alright, evenly matched. The creature polishes off the last, and I'm going to say it, cucumber sandwich. The last of the cucumber sandwiches at the exact same time, sort of licking it, at the exact same moment as you polish off the last piece, sucking off the juice from the last little bone of the rotisserie chicken. And you sort of look to one another. Glowing amber flaming eyes meeting Varric's beautiful elven ones, and you both know. You know.
I'd like to go for whatever's like within reach. Probably again the biggest kind of thing.
Alright. Next up, the creature's gonna go for a vat, essentially, of potatoes covered in butter and some herbs. Varric, the closest thing to you, you've got a choice. The Theratas at the end of the competition and the kitchen staff. Basically, the Theratas has put up a meme of Jack Sparrow running away from the tribespeople who are the kitchen staff trying to catch the Theratas. You do hear some mumbling as they sort of stand around clearing away some of the plates of, you think we're going to need to bring some more? I think we might need to bring some more. We better be getting paid extra for this. I bloody hope so. That kind of thing. Yes, Varric, you've got a choice. You can either go for a huge blueberry and raspberry and blackcurrant crumble, or you can go for a gigantic tray filled with sausage rolls.
Sausage rolls.
Alrighty, so you're on the sausage rolls, and the creature is on the potatoes, getting on the stodge. Alrighty, roll your constitution check.
Not natural 20.
Ooh! Alright, the stodge has really taken effect on the creature. It got a 10. Alright, so the creature is getting halfway through the potatoes. Butter dribbling down the side of its mouth. Sort of like, it smells quite nice now. Arissa and Vitheritas, you start to smell that sort of like, it could be cooking pancake batter, it could be chips frying, that sort of oily, buttery cooking smell coming off the creature as the butter starts to dribble down its body. Basically, it smells like batter now. And it's like halfway, 2/3 into these potatoes as Varric is like polishing off this crumble, and the creature like sniffs like and finishes off the potato. Alright, Varric.
I'd like to go for the biggest thing again.
Okay. Alright.
Varric's just systematically going for the biggest thing.
Okay.
Isn't
Oh yeah,
it?
you just sausage rolls. Sorry, sausage rolls. So next up, you've got the crumble still, or you have got a huge shepherd's pie, and the creature has got
What was the first option?
the berry crumble,
Oh yeah.
or a huge shepherd's pie. The creature has got lasagna. I'm hungry now, man. This isn't okay.
Can I steal the lasagna?
Do a strength check. Try and steal the lasagna. Pry it from his flaming hands.
That's
Ooh,
14 plus
21.
2, 16. Ooh, 16 for me.
Ooh. God, Ramsay, the tiefling did what?
But the constitution is an 18 total.
Okay, cool. All right. So you don't manage to pry the lasagna out of his grip, so you're gonna have to go with the shepherd's pie as your secondary option. But it's fine if you don't like the food. You need it quicker. It's fine. Get it out of the way. Okay, his constitution is
What is
17. A shepherd's pie is
that's tasty.
it's like meat and vegetables in sort of gravy sauce, and then it's topped with potatoes and it's baked in the oven.
Yep, I like that. I like the look of that.
Look at the vegan being all like, this is what meat pie is.
Oops.
Sorry, I'm not one of the annoying ones, don't worry. You can eat shepherd's pie. It's allowed, it's fine. So, you're both fairly evenly matched on this one as well. Tell the tiefling he can cook it himself. The Theratas just fetch you all the memes. Arissa writing the character sheet for her child. I love it.
Yep.
So you're evenly matched on this one. Polishes off the last bit of lasagna. A bit of the cheesy topping covered in the pasta sort of like slips into his mouth. And he chomps down on it just as you finish the last dregs of the shepherd's pie and lick the gravy off your fingers. And then both of you lock eyes over the centerpiece. A gigantic triple chocolate fudge cake.
Okay, this is the moment I'd like to do it.
Okay, you can do that. And this time it'll be a constitution save.
Okay, is Verti considered an ally of mine?
At this point?
For the purposes of this save? Oh, never mind.
Also, the question is whether Vitheritas is within 10 feet of both of you.
Yeah, but are you standing quite far back to avoid being thrown up on?
He's probably standing at the opposite end of the table, just watching and taking notes on probably only a bit of spare wood.
Okay, in that case, he's probably not close enough, so I won't add it to. But it's still a nat 20.
Okay, cool.
And I'd like to do the thing, which means that.
Yeah, alright, I'm gonna do a wisdom save.
Nice.
Okay.
Versus 17.
Okay. Oh, man! 14!
Ha!
Okay, so suddenly, the little flaming creature, as you both lock eyes and reach at the same moment for this essentially giant chocolate fudge wedding cake, flaming claws grab a chunk of it down one side. You heave a handful out into your mouth. It's like that moment in Matilda where she's forcing him to eat that huge cake, and it's beautiful. And as the creature shoves a massive piece into its mouth, suddenly, inexplicably, it starts to laugh. And once again, the DM finds herself having to make strange creatures making laughing noises because I love this spell. It's great. And it starts to sort of rumble. And initially, probably Vitheritas and Orissa, you're quite worried, thinking, "Oh God, it's going to be sick." But it's not. It slowly rises up through the creature's body, and crumbs of cake spit out of his mouth. And chocolate fudge icing sort of dribbles out of his nose as you hear a sort of and it sort of falls back against the table, one of its flaming elbows crashing into some of the cups and bowls and plates, and it's like banging its fist on the table, and it's laughing, and there's chocolate cake everywhere, and it's just laughing and laughing and laughing. Welcome back, Hannibal came back into the chat at the moment of the weird laugh. So yeah, Varric, what was your constitution save for the chocolate cake?
Natural 20.
You jammy git. Alright, so at the end of this, with all the plates licked clean and the chocolate cake slathered on Varric's fingers as he sort of Scooby-Doo style licks it all off, and you think to yourself, yeah, that was a nice way to round off a rather large meal. If anything, I'm still full. I'm still a little bit hungry, but that's fine. Vitheritas and Orissa, you look up. The creature is just laughing on the tabletop, covered in chocolate. Varric, a fist in the air, victorious as one, having finished all of the cake except for the sort of handful that the creature had, and there is nothing left upon the table.
I'd like to cast message on Verti. So in Verti's head, several words appear. Never doubt me again. Hey, I was winning by far. It's just that I really wanted this game.
Vitheritas adds a note to his piece of paper saying that Varric only wins by cheating.
Vitheritas just thinks back. I think I've seen you use that spell before.
True, but I was winning either way. I just wanted the cake.
Would you mind ending it?
No. But then again, I could also just keep it active for the next.
The creature started to get hiccups now. I'm gonna give myself hiccups in a minute.
And with that, Varric drops the Tasha's laughter.
And the creature is now the creature sits up. he looks at you, Orissa, and because it hasn't been an hour yet, he just looks at you and goes, "Oh, it's a really funny cake."
Orissa's just kind of in a mode of, I don't really know what to say.
That doesn't happen easily with a bard.
No, it's very true. It doesn't happen easily with a bard.
So Varric's just gonna say out loud to the kitchen staff. So I believe Verti mentioned around 2.
The kitchen staff, as one, throw their hands in the air and walk out of the room. Nope! No. One of the older cooks, a very sort of Mrs. Weasley-esque lady with her hair in a big bun with some wisps coming down and sweat on her forehead, and a very large rolling pin in one of her hands, walks up to you, Varric, and taps you on one shoulder, very, very nicely, but it's quite firm. And sort of puts her arm around you and claps you on the shoulder and sort of holds you like a mother would a child round the shoulder and just pats you very firmly while holding the rolling pin very firmly and rolling it in her other hand. And she says, "Dearie, you can have a round 2 over my dead body."
Fair enough. I just thought I'd roll you guys up a bit more to like take your revenge on the tiefling. I mean, I'm quite full for now.
Oh, I never thought I'd see the day.
It was really good, thank you.
You're welcome, dearie. Now, me and my staff are going to take the rest of the day off, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course. Of course, and also, Verti will do all your chores to repay you for for causing this.
Oh, I can think of something much better than that, dearie.
Ooh.
And she sort of boops you on the nose with her rolling pin very gently, like, dunk. You can do the washing up.
Wait, but it's Verti who caused it. He challenged me. He should have known better.
Varricus is just going to smile very Varric and go, "Who asked for the food?"
She'll look up at that point with Theridas and say, and point her rolling pin directly at you and say, "You can do the drying."
He's just going to wink at her and go, "Not a problem."
I have a plan. Yes! Okay, Varric will just nod and say, "Of course I'll do the dishes." And he casts prestidigitation on the dishes. To clean them all.
She just looks, and you can see in her mind that she's thinking she's going to have to give you something else to do as punishment.
At that point, he starts making his way to the door to have a fly.
Well, make sure you put them away in the right cupboards! And she just walks out.
I have no clue what the right cupboards are. I know the cupboards where the food is.
She's gone. She's gone. She's gone. You hear the front door close, and you hear a gaggle of, like, the immense cooking staff you guys have acquired, all going out to hit the town. Like, all at once, just, like, leaving the castle.
Can I like... Oh no, Hannah is not near.
You should call out and see if she'll hear you.
Hannah, are you here? Can you hear me?
She appears.
Could you hand each of the kitchen staff some gold to enjoy their day off? Just something like 25 pieces each.
Annabelle just stares at you.
Please?
Annabelle is typing.
I promise not to pull a card today if you help me with this.
Still staring at you.
The therapist is now staring at the mention of cards.
That's just like, I've already had quite the morning.
Okay, so now that Varric has the gold, he's going to fly after the kitchen staff and hand
Annabelle
me
threw a
each.
sack of gold at your head and curses your stupid child before disappearing.
My child is not... Oh, she's gone. And with that, he's going to like take the gold and just hand it out to the kitchen staff before they all leave.
Okay.
Vitheritus is gonna ask Arissa, does the critter seem like he's had enough food? And looks back at the giant table.
She looks at him. Can I tell whether or not he's had enough food? Because I feel like the language may have run its course.
It'll slowly start to run its course, yeah. At a glance, the creature is now lying on its back with its arms and legs spread in like a starfish on the top of the table, half in some dishes, and just going, ah!
She looks over at Bertie and goes, I don't need to translate to say
The therapist is just going to underline some notes and go, well, at least we know how much he eats.
The Veritas just needs to write a book on all their creatures they just accumulate.
It's called the Zookeeper's Almanac.
The Reluctant Zookeeper's Guide.
Is it Fantastic Beasts and where to begrudgingly accept them?
Fantastic Beasts and where to avoid travelling to.
How to get from one destination to another without picking up any unwanted creatures.
You open the book and it just says, you don't.
Those are the two words Vitheritas knows how to spell.
Either that or it's fallen under the fiction.
It was a beautiful day. I woke up. The sun was singing. The sun was singing. There was no birds singing. It was great. I went about my day. That was it. There was no food to give to the animals. Nothing. The sun was singing. Birds were shining. I need to start an intro to a world. Campaign 2 in the Feywild is going to start like this. The sun was singing and the birds were shining. That is how it's going to start.
So Vitheritus is going to stack some of the plates, scritch the critter behind the ears.
Ah, yes, because you can, because the fire won't hurt you. And the creature sort of like, one of its like back paws sort of like twitches on the table, but he looks very full. His eye sort of opens a little bit at you.
Vitheritus is just going to grin.
Alright, so Vitheritas and Varric, you go and do the washing up or put the plates away, as it were. Arissa, are you gonna help or hang out with child, etc., etc.? Ooh, I have character sheet. I'll look at that in a moment. Marvellous. So, we will probably finish it there, to be fair, because it's nearly 11, which means it's nearly midnight for someone who should probably go to sleep.
Only a little bit.
Only a little bit. Barrack will hand the kid a last bite of chocolate. Ah, Barrack, so far your child has turned up, being 2 years old, you've got it high on sugar, and now you're giving it triple chocolate fudge cake.
Yep.
You're such a good dad.
Also, at that point, with the mention of being a good dad, Varric's gonna look at Arissa and he's gonna think real deep, and then he's gonna say, what have you been calling him?
She kind of looks up and she goes, I don't know really.
So far I've gone with kiddo, but, that seems a bit distant.
Yeah, I just haven't said his name, which feels really strange. Because he's 2, he already has a name, but we haven't named him yet.
Huh. What would we have named him if we had named him? Because maybe we've named him that.
Maybe. Did you have any names in mind?
I have no clue. And I mean, don't they need, like, humans and such need last names that actually mean something?
Well, in my culture, the way surnames work is it's basically if you marry and you have a child, the child takes a surname of the parent that has the higher class. So out of the two of us, he would have my name, my surname, Talcat.
That makes sense because you are really classy. Varric does not understand other things than that.
But for a first name, that's a choice the parents need to make. But there was always one name that I've liked since I was young. I think it was actually the name my parents would have given me if I was a boy.
Ooh.
Alaric.
Ooh, that's a pretty name.
I have a feeling that once Arissa said Alaric, the boy just looked up in recognition.
Yeah.
Yes, he's two. He'd know his own name.
Yeah. The little boy sort of looks like, huh?
Ooh, I think you found it.
Yeah. Yeah. Time is weird. Yeah, I guess that's his name. Alaric Talcott.
Little Alaric. One day you will become a king.
Hannibal in the chat, no.
I have a name, and it's a boy's name too.
So, with your child beaming up at you in, finally, my parents have started calling me by my bloody name. The Theratas looking approvingly on in his Deadpool meme of, that's the coolest name ever. Hannibal, at some point in time, rolling her eyes. And the creature that you have accumulated lying on the table. And the kitchen staff having a well-earned day off with what turns out to be about 30 gold each. Chasing their chose colour. Yeah, I feel like we've just written the new series of Doctor Who.
Yep.
Oh my god, I've actually been watching the new series of Doctor Who, and there's a character they've alluded to called the Timeless Child, and I'm like, that's my son.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Oh my god. When this character has an actor, we need to start using that actor in this game.
Ooh, this kid now has a title already. Also, Gina, would you be okay with me sharing the picture that we found?
Yeah.
Ooh, photos.
Alaric.
It's not yet, not as a kid, but basically that's what he grows up to be.
Ah, that's cool. I like the fact that there's just fire in the background.
It's
No.
because we've been there.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Well, actually, it's more likely the Sunday party has been there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm looking for my mother. There she is. Wait, she looks a lot more grumpy than my regular mother. Mother? Who the fuck are you? Wrong one.
Wrong mother!
Whoops.
I am very curious how Sunday Arissa is going to respond to finding out that Tuesday Arissa has a kid with Varric.
I've also just got the mental image that Hannibal can only teleport to where the kid is and doesn't even know what year it is. So just having to run up, like...
And she can't even tell based on how old the kid is. Hannibal's just agreeing. Like, Hannibal will be the crazy grandmother that can only follow him everywhere. She does not know the time. She does not care. Time is for humans. I am looking after this child. So there will be a spin-off series at the end of this entitled Hannibal and the Insane Child. It'll be written by myself, Larissa, Varric, and Hannibal. It'll be great.
That could be an amazing side quest if we ever get like the session with just Larissa and me.
I think I'll have to do one of those. I think it'd be great. Just this random, like, 50-year-old man comes running up. Mother! Oh, God. She will occasionally try to kill him, but also grow attached, so yes. Yeah, that sounds about right for Hannibal.
I love it. Love it.
Okay. On that happy, full, emotional, relatively warm note, we will end session there. So if everyone wants to shout Tatty Bear to the recording, and I'll turn it off. Tatty Bear!
Teddy bear.
Tatty Bear.
That's fair from Hannibal as well.
And we are